So the next part start with him going to Yamapuri, and then Yama is not there, which tells you it's his vision, it's not the reality, because Yama is there. I mean, Devatas have what is called as the Agneya Sharira. We have Parthiva Sharira. That means we can be in one place at one time. In the Agneya Sharira, like fire, it's more of fire, you can be at multiple. So Yama is everywhere in all times. There's different forms of Yama. Like all the Devatas are like that. So in his vision, he is seeing that Yama is not there. And then his wife Shamala is inviting this boy inside to wait for Yama. But this boy says, no, until Yama comes, I will be outside, I will not take anything. No food, no water, nothing. And then Yama doesn't come for 3 days. And then the third day when he comes, Shamala tells Yama that this boy is sitting outside waiting for you for 3 days, he has not had anything. Please do the Atithi Satkara and bring the boy inside. So Yama does that and says, I'm so impressed with you, I will give you 3 boons for keeping you, waiting outside for 3 days. Ask me. Right? So then the story says, first boon he says, when I go back, let my father recognize me. That means when the boy goes back, he's either going to be born in a different body, or when the dead body comes alive, you think it's a ghost, not your son coming back. So let him recognize me, let him be peaceful, because he is very angry with me. And so Yama gives that boon. The second one he says, I want to know about the Swarga Agni, the Swargagni Vidya. That means ritual, how to get Brahmajnana through ritual. And if you have, I don't know how many of you know that last year we did Brihati Sahasra Mahayagna at the Texas Goshala with 360 bricks on a bird shape. That's basically inspired from Katopanishad. So, and this first time in the US that we have done it. So, and it was after we studied the second question, the idea came that why don't we do a Homa with 360 bricks, and we actually raised money to do that last April. So we did that last year. And so it is about basically what Yama is telling there is the ritual is a external representation of what is going on internal. Right? And then, so he says, the 360 number comes from, he says, there are the 360 bricks that create the Homakunda in the bird shape, that is the Adibhautika. In the body, Adhyatmika, the fire is the Antaratma, and then the bricks are the, what is that, bones, what is that, 360? Cartilages. No, ligaments. There's ligaments. So there's 360 ligaments in the body. So 360 ligaments become the bricks so our bones and ligaments are the bricks of the internal fire. So that is represented outside. And in the Adidaivika, in the external nature, 360 days are the 360 bricks, and sun is the fire. So he says that external representation of Yajna with the 360 bricks is the 360 ligaments within us, and the 360 days, that is the year, Samvatsara. So again, how is it 360 days? Do you remember why is a year a 360 days? The 360 degrees of the circle you can have a 300 degree, this circle can be divided into 300 different equal parts. Why 360? It all comes from 360 days make a year. That's how it is, right? So 360 is what? There is 5 kinds of years. One is Samvatsara. Samvatsara means perfect year. Samyak Vatsara, perfect year. That means from the geocentric model, the Earth going around the Sun is 365 days. From the geocentric model, it is the Sun going around the Earth. That means from Mesha 0 degrees, coming back to Mesha 0 degrees is 365 days. And that is what is celebrated on April 14th. Right? Sauramana, we call it Sauramana Yugadi. And the date is always fixed. Because even the Gregorian calendar is also Sauramana. Right? It's adding that one day, the leap day, to make it Sauramana. Right? And that's the reason the Sauramana Yugadi is almost fixed. 14th, 15th. It's around that. That is 365 days. And if you look at Chandramana is lunar. And lunar takes 355 days. Almost 354, 355 days. So that's about 10 days short. And that's the reason why every 2.5 years, it's like adding 1 month. So every 5 years we add 2 months. And nobody adds it. It is just like if there is the sun doesn't move from one Rashi to another Rashi within that, so the lunar cycle, that becomes a leap month. So there's no authority that tells you that. It is just calculation. When do you add a leap month? When such a thing happens, right? So then that is what, so that is 355 lunar days, 365 solar days, the mean of which is 360 mean days. So a year is 360 mean days. So that's where the 360, concept of 360 comes. So the 360 bricks, which is like a complete samyak, right? It is 360. See, the human body is called Puram. And in Sanskrit, Pura is related to Purna. Pura, right? In Hindi, Pura, we say Pura. Pura is complete, full, right? Human body is Pura in the sense that it is the only body which is Pura that has the buddhi to do sadhana. Whether we use it to do sadhana or not, that is immaterial, but is it capable to do sadhana? Body is a Pura. So that's why in the next section, the Upanishad says, Puram Ekadasha Dwaram Ajasya Avakrisasaha. That means this is the city with 11 doors. And then, the Yama talks about that. That Pura comes from Purna, which is, our body is fully endowed with all of the faculties required to do sadhana. No other animal has that ability to do a sadhana, just the man does. Right? So that is 360, and that's the reason why we have 360 ligaments within us, and the Antaragni is there. And then the same way, 360 is the perfect cycle of Samvatsara, and the Agni is the sun. So these are, in Hinduism, the microcosm represents the macrocosm. So they reflect each other, right? What is outside us, the Homa, Yajna that we do, represents what is inside us, represents what is out, the universe. So that is what is Adhyatmika, inside, Adibhautika, outside in the nature, and Adidaivika, which is the natural, universal cycles. So Yama teaches him, but it is not, the Upanishad doesn't talk about it here, but other references in other different Puranas and other literature talks about what is this 360 and all of those things. Then the third question, for the third boon, Nachiketa asks a very cryptic, initially cryptic, but then later on he does reveal, and in this chapter you'll see what he's talking about. He says, there is this kind of two understanding about what happens to man after death, or jiva after death. Some say it is, some say it is not. I want to know about that. So it's very cryptic. One popular interpretation has been that, the Nachiketa's question is whether after death anything survives. Is there jiva that survives after death or not? But if you look at the context, it doesn't, like he already has asked about Swarga Agni Vidya, which already assumes that there is a jiva that survives the body. And he himself says that our life is a cycle, like a corn that withers away and it's born again. We are also born again, that he says very initially. So the question is not whether jiva survives after the death of the body or not. It is a much bigger question that we will see later on, which is we will see in this chapter, in this chapter and this section. And it's a very, very, very deep question. And what that is we in samsara, we are told that you have to do the sadhana and you have to worship to get that liberation, to liberate. Now the question is, once man is liberated, does that connection still exist? Do we need God when we are liberated? Because there is nothing else to be had. Now we need God because we are in the cycle. When the cycle is broken, is there a need for God? Is there a connection to God? What happens between this God, man and Jiva? What happens? We know about, the man, God and Prakriti. We know that Prakriti, we leave Prakriti and go because Prakriti is a cycle. But then what is the connection between man and God? What happens? What is God really needed when we are liberated? So that is what he wants to know. And then Yama says, you know what? This is a question that even the Devatas were confused about. So it is not very easy. So I need to first test you in the sense that he's not telling him that, but he has that mentality to first of all find out the yogyata of what this boy to really understand all of this deep philosophy. So he says, you are such a small boy, why do you need answer to all these questions? Even the Devatas have struggled to get answers to this question. I will give you wealth, I will give you kingdom, I'll make you long lived, and you'll have a lot of kids and grandkids and great grandkids, and you'll have power, a lot of power and wealth. Whatever you want, you'll have. Choose that. Why do you not need all the answers? Right? Then he tests him, and Nachiketa is like, no, I want this. And there's a back and forth that goes on, and he says, Shvabhavo Martyasya Antaka Etat. He says, everything that you are giving me today or tempting me with has an end. Everything dies away eventually. This too shall pass. So I am not interested in that which passes, but not only does it pass, it will also corrupt me, because absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? Like that. So if you give somebody power, it is not like they'll have the power and just be there. That will also corrupt them. It says, you are giving me something that is going to destroy me. I don't want something that destroys me. I want something that will liberate me. So I don't want those things, and those goes back and forth. And Yama is so very happy with this boy. So he then, in the second section of the first chapter, he says, see, and the philosophy behind choice. He says, in life there are two choices. We always have two choices before us. One is called Shreyas. That means that which is good for us. And other one is called Prayas, that which is very pleasant. But it is also very urgent and very short term. Okay? So that means whenever we have a choice where it is easy, pleasurable, and right there you'll see the result. And then there is something that is going to be very difficult, it drags on, it is boring, it takes time and all of that, but eventually that is the best for you. And guess what we all choose? The immediate. Right? We always choose the immediate, not the long term. So Yama says, all of humanity always chooses the short term, the immediate pleasure. But you have chosen the Shreyas choice, which is that which is eventually going to be good for you. And so, I love that you made that choice, and I want to teach you, because that is you are the ideal student for me to teach this. Right? So you are the ideal student for me to learn this knowledge. And then, so then he starts. In the third section, he says, before I tell you the nature of God, you have to know the nature of your sadhana, like the first 6 chapters of the Gita. So then he talks about the nature of sadhana. One is choice. He's already talked about the choice, the Shreyas Prayas choice, and which is the choice that's good for you. The other one, he says, you need a guru to understand this. He says, this cannot be self-understood. This has to be told by somebody that knows, that has the Shastra Jnana, that has the... See, in Samskrita we call... Do you know the difference between Anubhava and Anubhava? Do you know what is the difference between, you have read a lot of novels, Kannada novel, there's a difference between anubhava, what is it? So, and look at this, the beauty of Sanskrit. Anubhavati, bhavati means it happens to it, like anu means following one after the other. Experience is something that happens one after the other. So it is anubhava. What is anubhava?
Who is experienced.
Who is experienced, right? Mahanubhava, we say. Maha anubhavi. Anubhavi means who has the life experiences. That Mahanubhavi is the one who is wise. Wisdom is not textual. Yeah, text is a map. Right? So there is a relationship between the text and experience. Experience by itself cannot lead you, because you cannot be your own teacher saying, oh, I think I've reached. And there's a lot of stories within the Shastras that say people have thought that they have come to the wisdom and turns out they have come to the wrong one. So what does the Shastra says? With your anubhava, you also need the anubhava, which the Shastras will give you the map. So when you are driving, you cannot just say, oh, let me figure out this road goes north and then let me figure out it by going. No, you cannot do that. Right? So you see, I want to drive, I will drive, but now let me see the map. The map says when I am going here, I should see these things, landmarks. Is this landmark there? If the landmark is there, the Shastras are saying that that is the right way I am going. So that means my sadhana is going in the right path. Right? I've done this sadhana, but I'm going somewhere else. The map says you shouldn't be seeing this, but I am seeing all of those things. Oh, I have done something wrong, so I need to turn around. Again, these are not individual things. You have to be anubhavi has to tell you that whether your anubhava is in the right direction or not. So Indian knowledge is not textual. Indian knowledge is experiential. So that's, if you look at the Abrahamic religions are textual. So like even the Sikhism, right? So the Guru is the book. But here the Guru is the living Guru. For us, the Guru has to be a living Guru, not just living Guru. The Guru has to be an experienced Guru. He has to be an Anubhavi to give us the direction. And the Upanishad says, without the direction, you will not be able to figure it out yourself. Right? That is one thing he says. So you need a Guru. And of course, here for Nachiketa, Yama is the Guru. Yama is going to teach it. And then the second one, he says, why do we make the choices we make? We make the prayers choice. That means we make the choice that gives us pleasure, that is immediate. And not the one where we have to wait and work hard and then eventually the result happens. We don't do that. Why? So then he says, no, it leads down back to jnana and ajnana. So he talks about jnana and ajnana. Say, what is ajnana? Ajnana is nothing but the intelligence of the body, the instincts and all of this. See, our instincts pull us. See, your prayer's choice comes from where? From the body. Right? The body wants pleasure, so it pressures you to pleasure. Right? So pressure and pleasure. So the body's pressure leads you to pleasure. Right? That means you have the least pressure to the pleasure. But if you have to keep hold of that pressure, that is the Shreyas choice. But nature doesn't want you that way. Like if you look at the Gita's, the 13th chapter to the 18th chapter, where Krishna describes the Prakriti, he talks about Trigunas and all of those things. He's saying, see, nature doesn't want to liberate you. Nature is a cycle. Nature just wants to keep you in the cycle. So it has built the instincts and everything within us, so that we are always in the cycle.
Preloaded.
Now, we are preloaded, right? We are preloaded with the instincts to always be in the cycle. So if you follow the dictates of the body will always dictate you to be in this cycle. Because the body will always choose to be in the pleasure choice, not the long-term choice. So then he says that this is what the jnana and ajnana is like that. So jnana is our ability to stop stop the natural instinct of the body and to be able to go the other way. So it's an ability that doesn't come naturally, it has to be developed. That is what is the sadhana. So we are all doing sadhana. Then you have to see what do you mean by sadhana? I'm doing some mantra. No. Sadhana means you are doing certain activities so that your natural ability that the body takes you, you can actually go against it and go on the other way. So that is what sadhana is. Everything that we do, that is what it has to lead to. Otherwise it's not called sadhana. It is just something we are doing. But the ability to do something which is against what the instincts of the body is naturally leading you to, that is called as sadhana. So then Yama is talking about that, saying that this is what it is. So the choice comes from jnana, ajnana. Ajnana is basically our bodies, instincts and everything that we are built with. That is all built to make the easy choice. But when you have the guru and when you have the anubhavi showing you the direction and you are doing the sadhana for that, then you will be able to, a jnani is able to, withstand the pressures of the body, pressures of Prakriti and go the other way. So that is what liberation is going to be. So then he says, what is the first thing in sadhana? He has to define sadhana. So he says, what is the first thing in sadhana? What is the first thing that you have to do to stop the pressures of the body? Discipline. And what is discipline? Indriya nigraha. Right? So basically what he's saying is, and that is what he says, think of your body and the indriyas as a chariot. That is what it says. So you very simple model. He says, Yama says, this is a chariot, your body is a chariot, and then your indriyas are the horses. So think of 5 horses, 5 senses, 5 jnana indriyas, because that's the one that, and you can say 10 horses, 5 jnana indriyas, 5 karma indriyas, and that is yoked to this. So basically we are dealing with the world by knowing through the 5 senses and then by doing through 5 organs of action, hands, legs and all of that, so voice. So that's what we are doing. So every day we are knowing through 5, doing through 5. So that is the horses that is yoking the chariot and pulling the chariot. That is our, so here the chariot is going from one location to another location. Here we are going in time. So our journey is in time. That journey is simply showing us in space. We are going from one place to another place. Now Yama asks, now if you have to go from one place to another place, what do you need? The horses need to stay on the road. Now the horses will not stay on the road by themselves because that is what ajnana is, right? It is built with what? If it sees something shining, some grass, it is going to run towards the weeds. So it's going to go to the grasslands and just do whatever it wants to do. It's free. It's wild horses. So your horses will be wild horses, going anywhere it wants to go. When it does that, do you think you are going to reach the destination? You are not going to reach the destination. So what is your sadhana? Your sadhana is to keep the horses on the road. Now how do you keep the horses on the road? He says, now the indriyas, okay, it's not just the indriyas yoked to the chariot. There is the reins that control the horses. Oh, the horses can be controlled. What are those reins that control it? Yes, that is manas. Manas is the faculty, the mental faculty that we have that is yoked to your indriyas. So if my eyes looks you, it is my manas taking me to do this, right? Even though I'm not aware, but still it's the manas that moves the indriyas wherever it needs to go, right? So manas is what? Sankalpa vikalpatmakam manaha. So manas is all, it is where desires live, it's where vikalpa means confusion lives, and it's the organ of attention. Manas, where manas attends to, all the indriyas go there. Right? So wherever manas takes the indriyas go there. Now the manas, now whose hands the reins are? The reins are in the hands of the charioteer. Oh, so the charioteer is what? Buddhi is the charioteer. It says the buddhi is the one that is leading the horse. Right? The buddhi is the one. So if the reins are not held tightly by the charioteer, then the horses will go wild. Now look at this model. Right? Now again, let's come to that model again. But here, when does the charioteer be able to control the horses? When he is an experienced charioteer. He is an anubhavi. Now he knows how to control the wild horses. He knows how to keep the horses on the path to the destination. Right? So that the whole experience of the charioteer, and then the ahankara is the one who is sitting like Arjuna, like Krishna is buddhi, the charioteer. Arjuna is one who is sitting in the chariot, the traveler. He is the atma, but he is also ahankara. So ahankara is the one that directs where one needs to go. Right? Chitta is what? Chitta is that experience. Chitta is what? Chitta is smaranatmakam chitta. Chitta is all our experience. Vidya, avidya, all of those chitta. That means the experience of the charioteer is the what we call as chitta. So antakarana, there are 4 things in antakarana. Manas is like the reins that hold the indriyas. Buddhi is our ability to discriminate this or that. Right? Nischayatmakam buddhi, it's said. Nischaya is, do I need to do this or do that? That nischaya, logic, it's kind of logic, right? Nischayatmakam buddhi. Then ahankara is what? Ahankara is the identity. There's an identity that's driving these things. But it's a false ego. It's an ego. It's not self. And then on top of that is experience. Right? It's all smarana. So what Yama is saying is, if you are bottom up, there is no sadhana. That means if indriyas are stronger and the reins are not holding it tight, the chariot is not experienced and is unable to hold tight, and because he has no experience, no vidya is there, then what happens? The horse will dictate what happens in your life. So that is we becoming slaves to our indulgence, our senses. So the real sadhana is when the power is top down. That means chitta is the highest. That means vidya. It has the experience, the vidya to do what needs to be done. Ahankara is the identity that says, this is who I am. I am the one who goes in the right path. Identity. Right? In what is it? Atomic Habits. He talks about if identity is there, everything below that will work. Right? When I say I'm, like for example, I think most of you are all vegetarian here. I don't think any of us are tempted to eat non-veg. Why? Because my identity is I'm a vegetarian. That means I naturally don't eat meat. That's who I am. So when that becomes a definition of who I am, there is no like, oh, I'm so feeling tempted, I want to do it. You never get into that thing. You never get it because your identity is already built that you are a vegetarian. And it's not just that. All of the things we do because it flows from our identity. We are somebody that will love to learn something. If it's built into the identity, nobody can stop it. Right? And identity is nothing but automatic choice. The identity is built from choices. Like, I always keep making this choice, then it is built into my identity. I am a person that always makes this choice. It becomes an identity. Right? So, and then, James Clear says that once it's an identity, the brain doesn't have to do any work to determine what to do or what not to do, because it's all automatic. Right? It has to be energy efficient. So now it's like, oh, I know, this is what I do. There's no temptation, there's no pressure, nothing is there. Because your habit is already built into you, right? So it's all done. Right? So that's ahankara. So the ahankara comes from experience, right? Chitta, all the experiences, the vidya, all the things we have studied, we have heard, all of those things, that is that. And then that influences buddhi. So if I am this kind of a person, that means I always make this kind of a choice. Right? The buddhi is always led by what? The ahankara. If ahankara is weak, that means, oh, my buddhi can go anywhere. I am a person who will indulge in everything. The buddhi will indulge in everything. So if buddhi is weak, manas is not strong. Manas is not strong, what happens? Wherever the horses want to go, the buddhi says that it can go. Right? So that is what. So that is the top-down model.
So what is that made buddhi weak? Buddhi said if it's weak, what is the reasoning behind how does buddhi will become weak?
Lack of knowledge, no?
Yeah, lack of knowledge. So if you're looking top down, I don't have the experiences, so my ego is not built in such a way so that the discrimination is not inbuilt. And so again, the experience has to come from everyday the habits, right? So look at the horses are the ones that determine what is our habit. The horse first time says, oh, I want to go in that path, but then I do not indulge in that. So that becomes inbuilt, right? So again, chitta is also coming through indriya only, right? So chitta comes to indriya. So it's kind of like both ways. It's fighting going on both ways. But what Yama says, always remember, chitta has to be the strongest. Ahankara next. Buddhi next. Manas next. Then indriyas. So when it is like that, indriya will be tame horses. When it is not like that, indriyas will be wild horses. And wild horses cannot do sadhana, because they will not go to the destination we need to take it. So at the end of the first chapter, this is what Yama has told him, this is what it is. Now second chapter is like the second Shatka of Gita, which is about what is the nature of God, and also relating to the question of Nachiketa, what is my connection with God? Why do I need God after liberation? What is the nature of liberation? Why do I need God after death? Because now, when we are in the body, there is sadhana, there is all these things pressures going on. What pressure is there when there is no body? Right? So all of these questions needs to be answered by Yama. So now Yama talks about the nature of Paramatma, the nature of the body, and the nature of all of these samsara and all of that stuff. So in the second chapter, we had started the first couple of mantras. Let's go to the first mantra. Any questions so far on this?
Well, just one question.
Yes.
So you're talking about the top-down structure, right?
Yes.
So chitta is most important, then it leads to building ahankara.
Ahankara.
So chitta is it only important when you're a child, or is the right chitta equally important even as an adult?
Yeah. So it is very, very critical when you're a child, because chitta will come in without any gates. All the gates are open, right? So that means whatever you are taught, you are going to have that as your first story, first reality, right? So always in psychology they say the first story is very, very difficult to undo. Because when your first story, that your identity is built on that story. That means to change the story, it means that your identity has to change. And your ahankara will not change, just like that. It is the most difficult to change the ahankara, right? So our identity is the worst thing to change. So what does it say? The most important critical thing is, what vidya do we give our children when their gates of buddhi are wide open? Because that will determine how their buddhi will function later on in life. Whatever they study later on in life, it's very, very difficult to change that ahankara, or basically personality. Right? Your personality is developed a certain way. It's very, very difficult to change that, because now it is set, and now the doors are there. So now the doors are closed. It's very difficult to open that door. So even though lifelong, we will be learning and experience will be there lifelong, but that ease of planting that story, planting that seed that we have in childhood, adult, you will not get that chance.
I think I have an assumption that when child is born, he comes with a predefined chitta from his previous life. Sushma Sarira. And then it gets contaminated or influenced by his experiences or whatever. Yeah. And if he's connected to the super consciousness, then Bhagavan, then that also gets improved, the chitta.
Yeah, so that means, see, the thing is, we have to assume that we have come with good chitta, right? And so, which is basically, you're born with certain natural tendencies, right? So all of us have certain different curiosities. They say, right? How do you know your uniqueness? And we were having this chat, right? So like each one is unique. So there are two different schools of thought within Indian schools. There are many Indian schools of thought, right? So broadly, there are two different schools of thought. One is called as Samanya. That means the truth is only that which is common. And then Vishesha. Like for example, Vaisheshika school. the name itself says it's Vishesha. It's a school of uniqueness, right? Each one is individual. But if you look at the Upanishad, that is what Upanishads also say, that each one of us, because we have our own unique experience, we will have our own unique psyche or what tendencies, right? So no two things are same. There is difference between you and me and everything else. There's difference. So now, when Krishna talks about and we did this, learned this in a lot of detail in the Gita class. Krishna says, when he says, follow your dharma, do not follow somebody else's dharma, which means what? And I think I remember we had this discussion because somebody asked in the class. There's a question that where should I start, right? If I need to do the sadhana, where do I start with the sadhana? So Krishna says, see, your sadhana is where it's natural for you. And there's a beautiful saying, I don't know who said that, it says, do the things which is a play for you and work for others. That is the path to take. Because for you, that is a play. It's very easy for you, you can do that. But for others, it's swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swadharma is what Krishna says. Right? It's your dharma is what you need to follow, because even though it is in your estimation, he says, oh, this is what he's doing is so cool. Oh, mine is so boring. He says, this is natural to you. Because your path is going to go through this. Not that is for him. This is for you. So what is a play, what is natural for you, that is your path. Right? It's not like a predefined path. Oh, everybody ought to sit there and start from A. No. You start from where it is natural for you. Each one has somebody is music, right? That is the path to sadhana. Somebody is something else. That's the path to sadhana, right? So the path to sadhana is where you are naturally endowed to go as a play. It's a play to go through that. Right? So that is what it is. So that is, once that is done, then the sadhana will happen, right? So now Yama is in the second chapter, he starts by saying, now what exactly is the nature of this relationship between man and God? How do you need to think? And all of this is important, and the actual answer to the third question. So the second chapter has the biggest Gita, and the reason why we started, I put that post in GIA yesterday. So we took 12 years to finish Gita. And then and we had, Swamiji had come, Putige Mata, Udupi Swamiji was here, for Gita Mangala. And he was saying, he was telling me, nobody does Gita Mangala. Why are you doing Gita? Gita Mangala means, I've studied it. Gita is an ever-going thing. You never say, oh, this book is over, right? I said, no, we need to kind of mark a celebration because we have, done 12 years of classes. So, there I said, now that we have finished Gita, we are going to start Upanishad, then 10 Upanishads in the next 12 to 15 years. And I think you joked that, when we finish the Upanishad, we will have our Medicare kick in, right? So that is the plan, right? And then it's a Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka. Chandogya is where Tatvamasi is there, that phrase is there. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where Aham Brahmasmi and all those things are there. That we cannot do fully because that itself will take 5 years. So we are going to pick those sections, most interesting sections of these Upanishads, big Upanishads. But other than that, Katopanishad, which I did before, and Karthik and others were there when I first did in 2008 Katopanishad. So we are doing the Katopanishad now because Katopanishad is related to Gita. Gita borrows heavily from Katopanishad. The whole, the chariot model and even the mantras. A lot of these mantras are kind of Krishna uses in different ways, to tell Arjuna the whole concept. So the Katopanishad is very, very important. It's very well connected with Gita. And that's the reason why we said, we did Katopanishad before Gita. Now we have studied Gita in depth for 12 years. Now with the Gita's background, let's study Katopanishad. And you can go on back and forth like that. Because every time you'll go much, much deeper. But Katopanishad and then we'll start with Mundaka Upanishad. So these are Upanishads I've never taught before. Mundaka Upanishad, and then Shatprashna Upanishad, Manduka Upanishad, Taitra Upanishad, then of course Ishavasya and Kena Upanishad I've taught before, and then Aitareya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka. So 10 Upanishads.
There are 5 Mahavakyas, right? Upanishads. So they are related to 5 Upanishads. Like you said, Aham Brahmasmi is related to 1.
Aham Brahmasmi is
is 1, like that. 5 are important.
It's not called we call it Mahavakya, but in the Upanishad, all Upanishads, all Vedic Vangmaya is Mahavakya. So there's no Taratamya between those two. But I'm just telling that the phrases, the phrases that people use, it's in Chandogya, there's and then I'm Atma Brahma, it is there.
Gnanam,
Vijnanam Brahma, all of those things are there. So what is the actual meaning of that? We'll go when we go in depth.
Is it Kena Upanishad talks about the person who knows God is that's the Kena.
That same thing will come down in the and Kena Upanishad. And actually, when Rajesh was here in December, so we were talking about Kena Upanishad, and I told him about like this is what I taught and all of this. He was like, amazing. I mean, I've been waiting all. So he said, let's write a book on Kena Upanishad. So I said, I need to write one book at least. It's been 20 years I didn't do one book. So I don't know, something is blocking me at least, with you, let's do. So he is actually going to write a book. So we'll discuss on Kena Upanishad. Because he was like fascinated. Oh really? It says all of these things? Yes, it says all of these things. So Kena Upanishad, we'll take up Kena Upanishad. Isha was beautiful, one of my favorite Upanishads, Isha was Upanishad. So Kena and Isha was Upanishad are very short Upanishads, so you can do in 2-3 classes. So Taittiriya Upanishad, we have never done Taittiriya Upanishad, is the most musical Upanishad. So
we want to do Kena Upanishad with Rajesh on Zoom.
Why Zoom? He will come here. We'll bring him here. I'm working to bring him to Houston. That's my big agenda. What is there in California? Come to Houston. So let's see what happens. So so these are the 10 Upanishads, and it's already 2 years with Katopanishad, 1 chapter. I know last year we had a lot of missed classes because of a lot of events, but then we will make sure that we keep to it, and if the place is not available here, we'll do Zoom and kind of complete all of those things. So it will need about 15 years to complete all the 10 Upanishads in depth. I mean, you can do it in a month if you are just going translation by translation. But if you really want to go in depth, you need about 15 years to go through this. Taking only a few sections in Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka. If you take that, then 25 years. For sure.
Then you don't have time. Then you become a jnani, but you don't have time to use that and create sanchita.
No, but the thing is, the Brahma Sutra says, what you learn in one Upanishad will not be contradicted in another Upanishad. So that means, when you learn Katopanishad, you've already learned everything that needs to. When you have learned Gita, there is nothing else to learn. Gita is the highest, right? It's a summary of everything. But then we want to know what is there in all the Upanishads, right? People talk about, all this Upanishad. What is there in that? That's what we are trying to do. Right? So now the second chapter starts off with an amazingly beautiful mantra. And when the Greek says that, they're like, the West will go like, oh, amazing, all of these things are there. India is there, it is just sitting here in this book. Right? Beautifully it says, Yama says, Puram Ekadasha, no, not, that is the first of the next, this one. This Paranchi Khani Vyatrana Swayambhu Tasmat Parak Pashyati Na Antaratman Kaschid Dhiraha Pratyagatmanam Aikshat Avratta Chakshuhu Amritatvam Ichat. So beautiful it is. So he says, now what is the last thing he has told? That which destroys us is our indriyas. That which will take us to sadhana is our indriyas. So that which destroys us also has the power to elevate us. And what is that? Our senses. So now the second chapter starts with that. He says, Khani Paranchi. That kha in Sanskrita means holes or empty space. Kham is empty space, right? So, khani means holes, which is basically indriyas. Like all the indriyas are holes in the body. So it says, the God has created these holes in our body. How has He created? Paranchi. All our indriyas only look outside. And he says, Vyatrinat, that means Trinakatkara is the dhatu. Trinat means what? Means he's like, he's like made it the worst. He's given it the worst thing. In the Truna, we say Truna is a grass, blade of grass. Heenatva, right? He has given the Heenasthiti to the Indriyas. He has created, the Indriya design is so bad. He says, God has designed Indriya bad. Why? Because it only sees outside. Paranchi Khani, Vyatranat Swayambhu, Paramatma, who is himself, like, independent of everything, he has designed the sense organs in such a way it only sees outside. Na antaratman, it does not see inside. All our senses only see outside. Tasmat parak pashyati na antaratman. So what happens? The nature, what does it do? Therefore we, through nature, we only see outside. We are only concerned about outside, never about inside. That is, majority of the humanity is like that. Then he says, Kaschid dhiraha. And if you take in the Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yadati siddhaye, says Krishna. That means the sadhakas are not ordinary. It is not dime-a-dozen. So only among these thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, what Krishna says there, among thousands and thousands, somebody has a desire to do sadhana. Among thousands of those who have desired sadhana, vetti tattvataha. Right? Kaschid vetti, mam vetti tattvataha. Some of them know me well. So that means this is just a small group of people who actually desire sadhana is itself small. Succeed in sadhana is even smaller. So that means that is very small. It's always going to be like that. It's going to be small. Here it says kaschid dhiraha. Only some. Dhira is in Sanskrita, dhiramanat iti dhira. That means those who rejoice in knowledge. That is dhira. Kaschid dhira, a wise one. Only few wise men. Only those few wise ones. Pratyak atmanam aikshat. See, parak means outside. In Sanskrita, parak means outside. Pratyak means inside. Parak, pratyak. So, antar bahi, right? Bahi is outside, antar is inside. So, pratyak atmanam, he aikshata, that means he sees the Lord inside us. The hidden hand, the hidden force within us, he sees. Only some wise ones turn. Avritta chakshu amrutatvam icchan. How does that happen? How does he see? I shouldn't say he. It could be he or she. Right? This sadhana has no gender. Anybody can do sadhana. So, kaschid dhira, the wise one, looks inside, looks to the God inside. How does he do that? Avritta chakshu. And in Raghavendra's, the Khandartha, he says, upalakshane avritta chakshu. That means it is just figuratively used. That you cannot turn your eyes inwards like that. Right? He says, our mind's eye turns inwards, looks within us. Only some turn their mind inwards and look towards God. Why? Amrutatvam icchan. Their desire is no longer chasing what the indriyas bring us, the external things. He says what Amrutatvam icchan means? He is now desiring that which will never go away. That will always be there. Right? So what does indriyas bring us? That which has an end eventually. However long it is going to end. And it's also at the same time going to destroy us. The indriya is going to destroy us. But it's also going to end, it will end us also. But then, knowing the limitations of what this chase of the external, the world is for the indriyas that we are naturally endowed with, those dhiras, those wise people, turn their mind's eye inwards, desiring not the limited, desiring not the transient, desiring that which is the eternal. Turning inwards is all from here. No thighs, Plato said, no thighs, this and that thing. Yeah, they were also very wise people. But it's very, very important. It's all Upanishad mantra says that, the mind's eye needs to turn inwards. That is how sadhana happens. We need to look at ourselves. Right? And then looking at ourselves, we'll see in the next mantra, I'll explain to you what looking at ourselves means. So that means sadhaka and a non-sadhaka. What is the difference? One is chasing the senses that is taking you outside, and it is an unending journey into the weeds. It's not going to take you to the destination. The other one is when he turns inside, his mind is in control, his buddhi controls the mind, and then the horses are tame and follow the dictates of the master. That is the sadhana. That is this. So what Yama is saying is that Indriya Nigraha happens when your mind's eye starts turning inwards. Right? That is the first one. And now he contrasts. Now this is only few. Now what is that majority of humanity? What does it do? So he says, Paracha kaman anuyanti balaha, he says. Yeah. So the second mantra, first section of the second adhyaya, Parachaha kaman anuyanti balaha te mrityor yanti vitatasya pasham atha dhira amrutatvam viditva dhruvam adhruveshu iha na prarthayante. Beautiful. Why do the wise make that choice that the bulk of humanity does not do? He says, bulk of humanity is what is bulk? He says balaha. Balaha means what? Immature. Kids. He says, Upanishad says, Yama says, all the others are kids. Now, it means immature. But it is also, there is a hidden meaning in calling the bulk of humanity as kids. So if you look at, there are 4 kinds of Atma. Did you know that there are 4 kinds of Atma? So, when the kid is born, Deha is the Atma. In the Upanishad, in the Chandogya Upanishad, this comes. When Indra and Virochana go to Brahma, the Atma, he takes him to different Atma. So when a child is born, itself is its body. There is no difference between it and the body. The child, the body is the Atma. And in Sanskrit, the body is also called Atma. Right? So the Atma is the body is the Atma for a child. That is what it's saying. Balaha means those for whom their self is their body. This is what they do. Right? But also they are immature. That is also another way to say it. These kids, they only follow the senses. Now, what is the second Atma? It says Atma tu Madhya Deha. So the middle part of the body is also called Atma. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, Atma is used as the middle part of the body. Right? Purva Paksha, Uttara Paksha, Pucha, Atma, Shira. So body is divided into the head, hands, middle, legs. Like that. So that's a thing. Now, that is the middle body is called Madhya Deha Atma. Then Ahankara is Atma. That is, once we grow, even though the body is no longer our identity as Atma, we have an idea of ourselves. Right? Ranga is an ego, right? It's you. It's not just body, it's just an idea. Sunil is an idea, right? All of us are idea. We are ego that we have built. Again, we have not built it, our experience has built it. I mean, the tendency, its nature has built the ego for us. So the ego is Atma. Then Jiva is Atma, right? The real self is Atma. And then what happens? Paramatma is Atma. Paramatma. So there are different, so there is physical body is Atma, the middle body is Atma, Ahankara is Atma, so it is 5. So if you leave the middle body is fine, but if you take middle body is also Atma, then you have ego is Atma, Jiva is Atma, Paramatma is Atma.
The maturity model looks like. Maturity model.
Maturity, that is true. It's maturity model too. Because the maturity is what? I start with I am my body. Then my ego, I think most of us are in ego is me. Right? I am my body. I am my ego, my idea of me. I am the Jiva, where the knowledge comes. I am the devotee of Paramatma. So the connection. Right? So that in that stage, I am, nobody has to come. That is it like. Ahankara says, I am everybody, I am everything. Then when that is hit, when you go to Paramatma, I am nobody. Which is what he's going to show. Yama. Right? So that is 5 Atmas are there. So here when he says Bala is the stage, I would say, where we identify with the body and where we identify with the ego. Both. Right? No longer, we are not aware of ourselves as a Jiva, nor as Paramatma. Our relation to Paramatma. It's not there. So he says, Parachaha kaman anuyanti balaha. That means all the desires that take us on a chase in the external world, they always keep chasing that chase all through their life. These kids, these immature ones. That means those for who Atma is the body, those for who Atma is the ego. They always do it. Then what happens? Te mrityoryanti vitatasya pasham. Mrityu pasha. You know what? Pasha means noose. Right? So it says, Mrityu pasha is vitata, means everywhere. Death is everywhere, in every nook and corner. We cannot escape. Whatever neural link you build, whatever you do, it is going to happen. Right? So, vitatasya pasha means the noose of Yama is, vitata means is everywhere. It's hidden everywhere. Mrityu pasha is hidden everywhere. So where we are running, and so basically it's showing what it's, the kind of visual here is, Yama is the hunter with the noose. Right? And so we are going here and there is no escape. Eventually he is going to put that noose and then, so he says, this happens again and again and again and again for these bala, these kids, these immature ones. They always fall to mrityu pasha again and again and again, wherever they are, whatever they are born as, they are going to be born, die, born again, die, born again. That's it. It's a never-ending story. So what is the nature of cycle? Meaningless. Is nowhere it will go because it's just a repetition. You're born, your senses will dictate what you need to do. All of life you're going to do that. One day you're going to die. After that nobody will remember. You're born as something else. See, Manushya birth itself is very rare. So it's not, people say, oh, I'll be another birth. No, another birth, what birth? Right? Getting the Pura itself is a huge gift. So if you are not using the Pura, then what? The sadhana is not even possible. So that's it. Right? So ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunam cha. That means no, you close it. You don't. It's not closing?
Just let go.
Yeah, it will go. I think it'll go. I think so. So what is the lakshana of animals? It says ahara, chasing food, bhaya, we have the fears. You go, yeah. Bhaya, fear, right? Ahara, nidra, sleep, maithuna, reproduction. That is what all animals do. We will also do that. That's what life is going to be. Right? That's what he's saying. So if only few can get out of that thing, the web of that, and that is those whose their mind's eye turns inwards within them. That's what it is. Right? So parachaha kaman anuyanti balaha te yanti mrityoha vitatasya pasham. So they are die again, born again, die again. So that's just cycle goes on and go on. But what does a dhira do? Atha dhira amrutatvam viditva. Now they understand what is going to stay with me, what is not going to stay with me. They'll understand these two differences. They understand these two. See, you know, we say, oh, sampat, artha. Right? We say, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Right? So chaturvida purushartha. So the artha in the Gita also it talks about two kinds of artha. There's three kinds of sampat. One is called as daivi sampat, manushi sampat, asuri sampat. In the Gita, daivasura sampat vibhaga yoga, there's one chapter which comes, I think it's 16th chapter. So that chapter talks about two sampat, that is daivi sampat and asuri sampat. Now there is a manushi sampat also. So the two that is worthy of following. Daivi for sure, manushi to an extent. Asuri never. Right? So three sampats are there. So when we say, oh God, give me sampat, so then you need to tell which kind of sampat it is. Right? Daivi sampat is what? Krishna himself says, Daivi sampat vimokshaya nibandhaya to asuri. So Daivi sampat is what? Daivi sampat is jnana, sadguna, satsanga, all of these things, mano nigraha, indriya nigraha, all of these are called Daivi sampat. It is also wealth. Our character is a wealth. If you have all the wealth in the world and not character, you have lost it, right? In Ashtaishwarya, there is one Aishwarya which is character. Dhanalakshmi is one which is wealth. Everybody knows that. But then Dhairya Lakshmi is character, right? It builds the courage and character and discipline and all that stuff. So that's also one of the Aishwaryas, right? So now, what was I telling? Daivi Asuri Sampat, right? So Daivi Sampat is a Sadguna, Vidya. The thing is, this Sampat is eternal. Vidya, once you have the Vidya, the Sadvidya, it will not go away. So Yama in the next section says, at death we will leave everything. No property, no gold, no Bitcoin, no nothing, no 401k, nothing will come with us. Nothing, no relationship, nothing will come. Wife, kids, nothing, friends, nobody will come. Everything is cut off. It's like the subroutine. You go and come back. You will forget everything, right? So that means when you leave this body, all the relationship, everything is lost. Yama says only two things. You travel light. You only carry two small bags. What is it? Yatha karma, yatha shrutam. What you have learned, what you have done, will never go away. So that is Daivi Sampat. That means if you have done Satkarma, if you have done good, which is beyond self, kind of selfless kind of thing. If you have done that, that has Nitya Phala. That will never go away. And we in the karma theory we studied, right? Paraspara karma, right? It is like, it's a fruit that keeps on giving, right? But any other kind of fruits, no, I've done very good things, but then I've done it selfishly, then you get something only for a limited time and it goes away. Right? Swarga is like that. When you go to Swarga, it is a limited time frame. At the end, when your Punya karma is ending, they'll kick you out of Swarga and you'll come back as to Bhuloka. That is so Swarga is also Anitya Phala. Vidya is Nitya Phala. Satkarma is Nitya Phala. In Satkarma it is Nishkama. What Krishna keeps saying, Nishkama karma. Nishkama karma has no end. Kamya karma, yes. You can do Kamya karma, good Satkarma. You can do Kamya karma, Asat karma. Right? I will donate to somebody because I want the photo in the paper. I've done a good karma, but what is the desire behind that? Oh, I want everybody to see that I have done something good, right? So it's a good karma, but because it is a kamya karma, it is a anitya karma, anitya phala. That means that it has an end. Oh, you'll get a good swarga bhoga and all of those things. One day it says, oh, you did the paper photo, I will kick you enough. You're gone, right? But moksha is nitya phala. There is no coming back from moksha. Once you go fully cut, everything is. Muktas and jivas have no connection. Prakriti, they are outside Prakriti. There is nothing, no connection. So that is nitya. So what Yama says in the next section is that, you ask me what happens after death. He says, you know what? When you die, Nothing will come with you. Nothing. No relationship, no properties, no nothing. Two small baggages you are going to carry. One is what you have learned and what you have done. These are the only two things you must care. But that's what people will not care. They care about everything else, and then one day they are gone and nobody will remember after that. I think they are saying that, you're only remembered at the most one generation. After that, even in one generation, is after a couple of years, remembrance is gone. Right? So that means the idea of you is gone. So that means, but all of your life you are chasing that idea which has not, that's it. When you are gone, everything is gone. People will move on. See, all of us have our own problem. We don't want to go back and look at somebody. Right? That's it. We're gone. So Krishna, Yama is saying, that's how the world is. Do you really want to pursue that? Or do you want to pursue the real thing that has eternal fruits? Which is Vidya, which is the Daivi Sampad. Manushi Sampad is what? Manushi Sampad is Dhana, Dhanya, Bhu, Vahana, Jana, all of those things are Manushi. Right? All the other Lakshmis. Right? You have Adi Lakshmi. Who is Adi Lakshmi? Bhu Sampad. Right? Adi Lakshmi is the one that created the world. So Bhu Sampad. Gaja Lakshmi. Vahana Sampad. Right? Then of course Vidya Lakshmi. Daivi Sampad. Right? Vidya Lakshmi. Vijaya Lakshmi. Dhairya Lakshmi. Dhana Lakshmi. Dhanya Lakshmi. Santana Lakshmi. Dhana Dhanya Santana is nothing will happen. That's it. So it's our duty. That's it. All of these. But none of these Aishwaryas will come. Dhairya, yes, it's character. Vidya, yes. But other than that, what other Sampad? Nothing, no other Sampad matters. Right? Vidya Dhanam, Sarvadhana Pradhanam. Right? So that is, the greatest wealth is Daivi Sampad, which is Vidya, Satsanga, Sadguna, and all of those things. Everything else will go away. But look at what these immature kids are chasing after in this life.
What's Asuri Sampad, which we don't want?
Asuri Sampad, greed, Ahankara. So Krishna will explain in detail all of those. I mean, we have seen that in the 16th chapter. I am the Lord, I am the greatest, nobody is equal to me. I want to kill that enemy, I should have no enemy, all my enemies should die. So it's all these things are there in the Gita, Daivasura, Sampad, Vibhaga Yoga. How do Asuris behave? How do Daivis behave? And he says, Arjuna, you have Daivi Sampad, don't worry. Moksha is there for you, he says. So that is Asuri Sampad. This is for us to know. All of this it is going to take us down, spiral, vicious circle. Right? So, Atha Dhira Amrutatvam Viditva. What is the Amrutatva? That which has no end. The fruits that don't have any end is Amrita. That is what? Either it is our good karma, Nishkama karma, or the knowledge that we have gained. So what we have gained, in the sense that what we have deeply understood in this life, will never erase. When you are born again, you'll get the tendency. For example, we are born now, there are certain things you pick up like right away. Right? You don't have to be taught. And it's like, oh, I understand this. It's so clear. Everybody else is struggling. But for you, it's like, oh, wow. So that is that. What you have learned and mastered, that will never go away. It will stay with you life after life, life after life. So you just have, because that will come very naturally as you play, and then you build on that. And then once you have understood, in the next one, that will come as play, and then you build on that. Basically, that's what it is. So that will...
Prarabdha karma, basically.
Yeah, no, it's prarabdha. No, it's prarabdha, but this is not karma. This is the knowledge you have. Right? The karma is what you bring. Yatha karma, yatha shrutam. So I'm talking about yatha shrutam. What we have learned, what we have understood, what we have gained, that will stay.
That's hatha.
That is our hatha. It becomes our nature. Right? It becomes our nature. So that is what Yama will say. So here, Amrutatvam Vidita. So the real understanding, real buddhi is what? To understand what does not end and what does end. And what is worthy of chasing and what is not, unworthy of chasing. Right? That discrimination. Buddhi is basically discriminate. What do you need this? Do you fall for this? What do you fall for? Right? So he says, अथ धीरा अमृतत्वं विदित्वा ध्रुवम् अध्रुवेषु न इह प्रार्थयन्ते. So in among adhruva means that which is it's always changing. They do not ask for adhruvam. They only go for dhruva, that which does not change, which is nishkama karma jnana. So only these two, when you follow, you are going after daivi sampat. Everything else, you are either manushi sampat or you are asuri sampat. Asuri sampat will destroy you. Manushi sampat will sustain you, but up to a limit. But again, then it will take you to the asuri. Right? So that is. So you should always remember three sampat: daivi sampat, manushi sampat, asuri sampat. Krishna doesn't talk about manushi sampat, but he only talks about daivi and asuri. But that is manushi is also there. Manushi sampat is with dhana, dhanya, kanaka, bhu, vahana, jana, all sampat. That is this one. Okay. Now he says, this is how one that turn inside, they know what is going to stay, what is not going to stay, and they are going to choose that which stays, and they make the choice. And why they make the choice? Because they have stopped chasing after what the senses take you to. They have turned their eyes inwards into their hearts. Right? Now in the third, then Nachiketa is like, again you are going to same thing. Kids, you are saying, I'm a kid. You are saying, and you are kind of praising me because I'm a kid, but I'm also following the eternal path and all of these things. And I've told you to stop praising me and tell me the answer to this question. So then Nachiketa says, Yena rupam, rasam, gandham, shabdan, sparshams to maithunan, yete naiva vijanati, kimatra parishishyate, yetat vaitat. Yama says, yetat vaitat. So now it goes back to what he told about, Karthik told about Katopanishad. Okay? So in a Katopanishad, the Upanishad starts with Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha Kena pranaha pratamaha prayeti nityam. So it starts with a very fantastic question. And and we have spoken about it many times in the classes, and it's a very, very deep insight. And that is, thoughts, we don't create our thoughts. Thoughts occur to us. Right? So that means every thought that comes to us has occurred to us. We don't create the thought. We act on the thought. That is how it is. If you understand this, I did it, will go away. Because okay, I thought, but when I say I thought, I really think. Thought occurred to me and I took action on that thought, is how it is really. Things happen, right? The thought occurs. That is the right way to say. I think really is really meaningless because I don't think. Thoughts occur. I act on that thought. So the Upanishad, Katopanishad actually goes deep into that. So it says, thoughts occur to us. Therefore, we do not control the thoughts. And where the Gayatri Mantra, prachodaya. Prachodana means what? You are the one that puts thoughts in my mind. I act on those thoughts. Put good thoughts in my mind and take me in the right direction. Right? So if I create my thoughts, there's no need to say you are the one who does the prachodana, the influence. You don't influence my thought. Because you are the one that put the thought in my brain. Because I don't think by thoughts. Thoughts occur to me and I act on those thoughts. Right? That is a very basic fundamental thing in Vedanta is thoughts occur. You don't think. Thought occurs to you. You act on it. You don't think. Very, very deep insight. Now, in the Katopanishad it says, because the nature of thought is such that it occurs. I didn't create the thought. I was going somewhere, then something occurred. I can do something like that. But did I create that occurrence? No. It came from nowhere. So thoughts come from nowhere. So then in the Katopanishad it says, thoughts occur to me. I don't think. Who creates that thought? Because I didn't create the thought. Who creates the thought? Right? The body acts. I breathe. But I really, the first breath, I didn't really want to take that breath. it occurred to me. So basically it is saying that life occurs to us. It's not like I designed my eye and I was like, when I open my eyes, I see. If I want to, I don't want to, I see. If I want to, I don't want to, I hear. There is nothing I can do. So that means the life is a given. What happens with the body is a given. The thoughts are occurring to us. What am I doing? That is a question. So this is very, 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 very deep questions. Like, okay, and it's not like, it's not some emotional, it is the truth. It is true. That thought occurs to us and we act on that thought. I don't think the thought occurs to us. Things are given to me, I didn't do anything, right? I found myself, like if you look at it, we all find ourselves in the body, find ourselves in the relationships and all of that stuff. We didn't choose anything.
Thought occurs to us.
Yes.
Then I act on thought based on my buddhi and atma and blah 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 and other things.
Yes.
So, but that is something that I can tailor to how to act upon.
You cannot tailor. It is.
So you are saying that the buddhi and all other thing, intellect is also given, and if things are going to act on this thing, and this is going to act, then
No. What is given is this. What I can do is this. When I know I can do this, let me focus on that, not on this.
If you are saying that thought comes to me, my buddhi and how I act upon that also.
No, I am not saying. You tell me. Did you think the thought or did the thought occur to you?
No,
to ask the question.
I am not myself. You told me on the first time.
You are stuck on
that is the first class. I have it still ingrained to me. I know it. But I'm saying, what am I doing?
Huh?
You need to go to
What?
So also there is, I think, the molecular structure.
Yeah, it started with
Happening on the
Oh, lunch is there? What is the time?
12.
But he wants to add some comment.
Yeah.
Just an observation on this.
Yes.
Dreams occur to us.
What are Krishna?
Dreams.
Dreams, yeah, exactly. Dreams are good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So even thoughts occur when we are awake. Dreams occur when we are asleep. So
No, I completely agree. It's just that what
See,
I act, I cannot act.
what he said is very powerful. Dreams occur to us, but we cannot act on it.
Yeah.
Thoughts occur to us, but we can act on it.
That's
Right?
beautiful.
So when we act on it, then another kind of thoughts will occur to us. So what we can do is what we can do, doing. But we do the right thing, then the thoughts occurring to us will be the right thoughts. Right? There is nothing you might do, whatever you want to do, you will not be able to think your thought. You will never be able to think your thoughts. Thoughts will always occur to you.
So
But you just said that if I act properly, this blah blah blah, my thought will be proper. But you said that thought occurs.
Yeah,
thoughts of
proper thoughts occur.
Yeah, action. My thought. Before you said that his thought occur, and then now you say if you act good, my son is good, I told him good, then his thought will be proper and all that thing.
Isn't it?
I think his confusion.
No, I am confused. Me too.
No, the sadhana, if I first started with how you get your control of horses, how you do sadhana, right? Then also the other point of view is thoughts occur. Right?
So it's very powerful.
These two are like, other two sides of the story.
Other side of the coin.
That is where we confuse, but
Yeah.
Like say you control say what when you were saying the dream occurs, right?
No, one
Dream
at a
is
time.
something that even if anyone thinks want to do the next day same dream, you won't get it. You don't control that, or you cannot share the dream with anyone.
that's the,
And that part will come.
that's where thoughts are seen.
Yeah.
Occurring you can't stop.
Correct.
Thoughts are seen in awareness and consciousness.
Yeah.
So when you know the consciousness, then you know the thought. So when you know the thought that you can do about something, whether it occurs or when it occurs, if it occurs or stopping occurring. So we have to go to that awareness of consciousness, which is
That's being aware, being outside.
consciousness is what you call awareness or seeing or knowing.
Yeah.
So you know the thought, the occurring of the thought is a progression.
Like being the Sakshi thing.
Yeah, but whatever you are, right? So what you're talking about is your reaction to the thought. What I'm saying is the thought, you have nothing to do with the thought.
Then here, these thoughts occur.
Correct.
You haven't said what is the source.
And that is what Upanishad says. Right? If you don't control the thought, who is controlling the thought? That is what Katopanishad says.
So there's something external to us which we don't know. Is the one which creates the thoughts to be.
I mean that the Upanishad will talk about that. What is it? So, but the basic thing you need to know is, we all say, I think, I thought about this. But if you actually look at it, a thought occurred to me and I became aware of that thought. That is what, when you say, I think, that is what you mean. Is a thought occurred to me and I became aware of the thought. Right? You can do something about it? Yes, you can do something about it. So if you do something good about it, then it is a good cycle where, what you basically want is good thoughts to start occurring to you. Kratava yantu vishvataha, right? So, Bhadra Kratu you need, right? So good influences all around. So that is the kind. But whatever it is, whoever it is, you cannot control thought. Thoughts occur to us.
Every class used to do long back key takeaways. This is one of the key takeaways.
This is a huge one. And Katopanishad, this is where Katopanishad is just amazing, because Katopanishad starts off with, we don't think. Thoughts occur to us. So how is this happening? I don't know how vision occurs, but when I open I can see. I don't know why breathing occurs, but when I breathe, breathing is... So everything is going on. I'm just there, I'm just going on, whether I want or not, things are happening. Who is doing it? Because I am not doing it. Who is doing it? Right? So with that...
It is the seeing of the thought. Sadhana is about developing ability to see the thought.
Krishna says that
thought.
he is the one who has
That's the
thought.
first step.
Correct. Yeah. So seeing a thought as a sakshi will tell you the thought occurred, but I am seeing it. So now you are kind of differentiating. So otherwise what Bala, who are those Bala? Who are those kids? Those who say, I think, I did, it's me, I. So that means what? The thought, even though the thought occurred, you say, I did the thinking, or I did this, I did that, all of those things you did. But then you don't understand the nature of this separation. Things happened, you identified.
Yeah, the first step
So what-
is to separate the thought from the I.
Sakshi. Yes.
I for next day,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, about or kid coming in with Sanchit Karma or certain thought, you took 2 bags. So now I am a grandfather. I have a kid that is opening 2 bags, right? She came in this world with the 2 bags.
Yes.
Now it seems like to me that instead of letting her open that bag of
No, you
karma
cannot-
and
you
everything,
cannot stop her
what
from-
I'm saying is that the people, the parents and the people around
Yes.
are pulling. It says, don't open that bag. I have a lot of other things, right? It's just, but it's a separate topic that
Yeah.
we need to build on that instead of pulling the kids and everything into this indriya and certain buddhi, certain identity and all that. That's very important.
That's the first step to start. It is a very important step. Is to realize that I'm not a thought. When that happens, when you separate, when I is seen as separate from the thought, that is the first separation.
Yes.
And when I'm not the thought is the first
Yeah.
You're thinking, how do you raise your grandchildren? That's what
Yeah,
I
but I want to say, I mean, you have to go someplace, so then...
No, again, in the next class we'll take this up. But see, remember, we have our Prakriti and we have our influences from the surroundings. Right? So we come with the bags, but we also start putting things into the bag as well. So whatever we come up with, if we put the right things, then that's the new bag that they'll take away. Right? So it is a Vidya is the highest responsibility. Right? Education is the highest responsibility, especially kids' education, because that is when they have no resistance, gates are open, they don't discriminate good and bad and all of those things.
They love everybody, they give to people.
Yeah.
They say, no, don't give to these. Why? You keep it yourself.
Yeah.
That's the
They learn to be unhappy.
So we will.
They learn to be unhappy.
Yeah, and we teach them.
That's what I'm saying. Kids learn to be
I
unhappy.
don't like.
No, we teach them to be unhappy.
We
Yeah.
teach them to be unhappy by saying that keep this to yourself, don't
Yeah.
give it.
Yeah,
But
and
actually, we should be doing differently, right? So that's what I think it's important.
Combination
to,
of
right,
everything.
we need to keep that.
Bhavana is calling us.
Okay, we'll finish with this. Next class, we are going to take, we'll take up this in the next class. We're going to take up, this from this Katopanishad, what this is saying, and Yama's answer to this, and how this leads to that hidden hand. So, when I don't control, then what is going on behind me, behind the drama behind the curtains? I want to know. Yama explains that. So that we will take up from next class.
That is the process that's going on.
Yeah. So we will end with the prayer. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.